Today, guys, we're looking at HTTP and its different authentication methods. We're going to start off with basic auth. We'll see how we can detect that it's even running, ways of logging in with it, and also some brute forcing. So let's just jump straight into it. I've got the usual Apache server running on a VM. This is the Kali machine. So if we go straight to the target, and then this pops up. So this is HTTP Basic Auth in action. So if we open up, let's cancel that for a minute. Open up the network tools, refresh. So we can see it popping up. There's a request there. There's nothing in it yet, but if we cancel this, and then look at the headers, get a 401 unauthorized. But it's this one here. This is what we're looking for. So this www authenticate has come back from the server and it's basically making that pop-up box display. So that's what's doing it, this response here. Same as if we look at a call request, we could do the same thing. And then there. So if that wasn't there, you wouldn't get the login box. You wouldn't be prompted to log in. Okay. So if we come back in here, just try some default passwords. Nothing. Now I know the password for this, so I'm going to put it in. And that logs us in. So that bypasses the login now. But what's worth looking at with this is if we go to that request and look at the request header, so what we sent to the server, we've got the authorization header with this basic and base64 string. So if we take this string and if we decode it, you get the password. You get the username and the password. So if basic auth is running, we can tell that by the www authenticate header. So even if someone's on the network sniffing the traffic, if it isn't on HTTPS, they can get the base64 string. And as easy as that, you can extract it to get the username and the password. Say we knew the username but didn't know the password, we could use Hydra. L for username, admin. Capital P for our password list, which we don't actually have, so let's just make a quick one. Obviously, you can use the built-in rocku.txt password, or you could download seclist password from GitHub. But we'll just make one quickly. And then I'll just paste a few in. Capital P for the password list. Passwords. And then we're going to use the HTTP get module. It's the same as similar to what you do like FTP or SMB, but we're using HTTP get and the IP. And then if we press enter, that starts, and then there's our password. So it's pretty weak. It's a pretty weak authentication system. Easily brute forced. And if you didn't know the username, you could just use capital L into the small l and just pass a list of usernames. So that's HTTP Basic Auth. If we now look at some login forms and how we can use Hydra to brute force them as well, because it can get a little bit, the syntax can look a little bit strange. So let's just look at that. So we're in here. I've got one that I've created in login.php. It's very simple, very basic, I know. But it's just for demonstration. So we pass in the username and some password. So we get user does not exist. Let's try admin. Invalid password for user admin. So that's bad straight away, because that's basically telling us what usernames are valid and which ones aren't. So if we try another one, just put anything in, user does not exist. Admin, invalid password. So admin does exist. So that's username enumeration, so that's bad straight away. But how do we brute force this? We open the network tab up again, press login. We can see that it goes to auth.php. You can see that in the URL bar at the top. And if we look at the request data, so this is the data that gets sent to the back end. So it's username equals admin and password equals that. Okay, so I wonder if we can, so we need some way of detecting if our password is wrong or right. And since this comes back when it's wrong, we should be able to use this. So let's try this for Hydra. L admin. Might as well use the same passwords file. And then this time we will specify the target like that using HTTP post form module of Hydra. And then the string. So we know that it was on the auth.php endpoint. So that's there and here. See, that's the file that's being called on the request. So then we pass in username, because again, we're copying this string here. This is what actually gets sent. Username equals, this is where it starts to look a bit strange. So this is basically says whatever the value of the user passed in here, place that in here. And password equals pass. This is doing the same thing. So whatever value comes out of each line in this list, place it in this placeholder. And then we need the string that comes back when the password's wrong. Let's try that. Let's try removing the HTTP part, because it says invalid target definition. There you go. So login is admin. So if we go back and try that. So it's come back with host, that's our target, login, the username admin, password is admin. 101 target successfully updated. Let's have a look at that. Yes, that's correct. So like I say, the syntax for this one can be a little bit confusing. What we need to remember is if you can enter a bad password and get some sort of string coming back in the response, so that allows Hydra to know when a successful password's been entered, because if that string isn't coming back, then it assumes that the login was successful. So you need the path. Now, if it was slightly different, so this part here might just be user. So if it was, you would change this to that instead, or whatever value that is. Post, data, username, same for password. It's to be pass, code. It's just whatever you get in this part here needs to go there. That's two of the HTTP authentication types you might come across. I hope that's made it a little bit clearer how to use it. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.